Content over everything.
He was doing it as a joke. Maybe he's naive. He doesn't understand how words affect, and he was doing it to show how ugly the pug is, right? To piss his girlfriend off. But on the while he was doing that, he was doing something that's really not nice. Okay, but right, it was a joke, right? And he didn't realize, he didn't understand what it means to other people, how other people see it, and he was locked up, right? Here's my point. My point is that I'm against that. I'm against him being locked up because I don't think he did anything wrong, because your intent is what's important. Now it's possible that the guy's a genius and he really did have intent, right? But I don't believe that's the case, and I don't think they have any evidence for that.
Now, were the Jewish people pro him getting locked up or not pro him?
So here's the thing. Now what happened was the police did it on their own back to go after this guy. It was in Scotland. Okay, so the Jewish community didn't do it. However, they did find somebody to say that they were offended, right? A Jewish person, right? I also find it offensive, but I don't think he's a bad person. I don't think that he did anything to do harm. I definitely don't think he should be locked up, right? So I don't know if that Jewish person intended it for the guy to be locked up, but that's the thing. There's also a Jewish comedian who came out, Badil, got his first name, and he said he thinks it's ridiculous this guy should be locked up, right? Now I think whether some Jews would be for it or not, I don't know. I would hope that if they would understand it, like they'd be against it. Maybe if you don't understand it, of course you might be for that. This guy's saying these crazy things, right? Yeah, lock him up. But if you understand it, and the court should understand it, right? You would say that this person should be locked up. So what you're saying is you don't want to take a nuanced view.
What was the charge? Inciting hate?
Inciting hate.
And he was saying what, kill Jewish people with the gas?
Yes, he said.
Oh, so that's very different from like.
No, I explained it. Right?
So they've locked him because they feel he's inciting people to kill Jewish people.
Yes, I think that's.
But do you understand? Do you know why they're reacting so quick?
No, tell me.
Because you know Jewish people were gassed, allegedly in Germany, right?
I know. Yeah.
So that's why they're concerned.
You say allegedly?
Well, no, from your.
I think it's true.
Yeah, well, I agree, but I'm saying this is the reason why they're doing it, right?
Okay, but here's the point. The point is that it's very obvious from the context of the video, right, that he did it as a joke. Now I think his naive thing.
Jews as a joke.
You have to watch it. Okay, let me.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's funny, but
it's not funny. It's not funny for me.
Right.
But as being Jewish, it's not funny. But what I'm saying is, it's very obvious from the way he's doing it, right, that he thinks that he's just doing it as a joke, and the point is, he's trying to make the pug very disgusting.
Oh, so the pug was saying this?
No, he was saying that so that the pug, and then you got the pug to do the hips. Right, that was the point.
And your point is you don't think he should be arrested?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you understand the subtlety of the matter, I don't think he did anything. He didn't have any intent to do anything wrong.
So you're telling me that you feel the Jewish community are too overprotective?
No, I haven't spoken to Jewish people about this. I haven't spoken to my friends, but I'm gonna ask actually a few people. I know some of my friends actually will be against him.
How does correlate what we're saying is Jewish people have a reason to suspect people. They have a reason.
They do have a reason to suspect people.
And what I'm saying is,
what I would say is,
and the Muslim community have a reason to suspect people.
Okay, but here's the thing.
That's what it is.
Okay, but here's the thing. You cannot have a reason in Tommy Robinson's case. Yeah, you can't say you have a reason to suspect him for being anti-Muslim when these things are actually happening, right? That doesn't make any sense. Tommy Robinson is just simply trying to deal with a problem. Thanks so much. Just give me half. Thanks.
No, but what we're trying to say is when you deal with that, when you're dealing with dog whistle politics, right?
What the hell?
When you're dealing with
because you're defending Tommy Robinson.
Oh, because Tommy Robinson can't do this anymore. Is that COE?
Is it?
Who's that? It's COE.
When you deal with dog whistle politics, right? Yeah. It is what people say.
Yeah.
It's the side name, the new name, right? And there's a history. There's a history of people who've aligned themselves with EDL, who have a history of hating Muslims. So maybe the EDL love Muslims, but there's a history of people who've joined them who hate the Muslims. So the Muslims are right to suspect them of doing stuff that might be against Muslim people because of the history of the people joining. So for give you an example, right?
Do you know Tom Robinson's left EDL, by the way?
Yeah, he's left. But what I'm saying is, it's like me. If I start a collective saying Slap Women's Bum Collective, and I go, you know what, that's wrong. I'm going to start a new one called people caress women's bum collective. It's like, well, we know you came from the Stack Women's Bum Collective, innit?
Okay.
So I suspect you haven't reformed.
But we're not
from
talking about that. We're talking about Tommy Robinson, right? Specifically.
Yes, but what I'm saying, you have to understand how people. Remember, I said as a Jewish person, you're right to suspect people of trying to harm you. Yeah? That's why we got there, right? Yeah. And the Muslims they are right to suspect, even though they might be wrong, because of the history of what's happened from Tommy Robinson and the EDL, right? And the people who have joined, who have openly said things that have been very negative towards the Muslim community. Yeah. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but what I'm saying is that's why they suspect. So as a Jewish person, you have the right to suspect people, and you don't have to start thinking, well, am I wrong to suspect? You go, you know what? Because my defense here, I'm going to defend myself. It's okay for me to suspect that person of being anti-Semite.
Okay.
And they can suspect Tommy of being anti-Islam.
Okay. Okay, but here's the difference. When somebody says let's say they hate Jews, or somebody says something derogatory about Jews, right? That's it. They're just being anti-Semitic. That's the end of the story. Okay. So if somebody changes it a little bit and he doesn't really say hate Jews, and that's the kind of thing that you're talking about.
Dog whistle.
Okay, dog whistle politics, right? This is something very, very specific. Okay. These girls are being raped.
Well, that's a different thing.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, but I'm saying if someone's being raped, we concern about the people being raped. Everything else is
okay, but since nobody else is talking about it, and he's the number one person that's speaking about it, and since the problem is not being resolved, right? How can somebody go up and say Tommy Robinson can't speak about these things when these girls are being raped and nothing's been done about it? I
don't think anyone is saying that Tommy or anyone can't talk about people being raped, but it's the framing. For example, if you say things like Jewish men are robbing banks.
If Jewish men were robbing banks,
well, some might say they are.
Right? Well, if they were.
Well, how do you know?
Well, I'm saying if they were.
Have you seen it in the newspaper, Jewish men robbing banks?
I've never seen it.
The men who rob banks might be Jewish, but what I'm saying, they don't put that.
I've never seen it.
Well, good, because they're not. Look, they usually.
I've never heard about it. Listen, I'm saying hypothetical. I've never heard about it. If they are, so if they are,
what separates
Jewish men? I thought Jewish men owned the banks. I didn't know they were robbing. Okay.
Well, that could be a double standard. But what I'm saying is, look at your phenotype, right?
If it's real, then we're talking about real. If it's not, we'll just say it.
From my perspective, look at your phenotype. If you didn't dress in traditional Jewish clothing, how would people know you're necessarily Jewish? They wouldn't, right?
Well, I think there is a certain Jewish look, but whatever.
Well, okay, well, European.
It's not. No, there is a Jewish look.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is, it's very close.
Even Ashkenazi Jewish.
Well, there's many Jewish actors who no one knew they were Jewish because they changed the name, and you know this, right?
I didn't know that, but I can believe that. Yeah, it's no problem.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, so if we didn't know.
But I'm saying there is some within the Jewish community. It's like some black people don't necessarily look. They could look Arab, right? It's possible, right?
Okay.
But you get the idea. There are typical Jewish looks that.
But what I'm saying is, when European men who rob a bank, no one says these Jewish men. They don't describe them by their religion. It's not necessary because nothing in Judaism tells people to rob banks.
But if they were, but if they were. No. Okay. But
does anything in Islam tell them to rape?
That's a
no. But no, I'm
that's a nonsense argument. Let me tell you why.
What's the Robinson?
Let me tell you why. Yes.
No. Forget the support.
Let me tell you why this is a nonsense argument. Right? This is a nonsense argument because look, if there were Jews doing anything wrong, right, and there was a bunch of Jews doing it, right, even if it's a small percentage, right, I would definitely. I've never spoken to Tom Robinson. I would definitely, and somebody's complaining about Jewish people doing those things, and it was known that they were doing those things. I wouldn't say, oh, you can't say they're Jewish. Well, they're Jewish. Well, it's a fact. They're Jewish.
What I'm saying,
if it were Jewish, if they were Jewish.
Hold on, but if Jewish is a minority, they're very rarely represented well on TV. And every time we see their name Jewish, it's a negative story, and that could be perceived as propaganda. Does that make sense?
Okay, but we're talking about true stories or things that are not true, because it's a big difference. If you're talking, you seem to be slipping in and out of what people are using propaganda, which means that it could be not true.
What is the purpose of using the word Jew bank robbers? What is the purpose? No one's saying no one's saying the size of their feet. No one's saying how good they perform in bed. No one's saying there's this great stud who's robbed the bank. What has Judaism got to do?
It's not Judaism. It's the group. It's the group of people that come from this group.
Muslims is a way of life, right?
Yeah, but it's also a group of people, right? Those people are still called Muslims, even though they're doing things against Islam. The Muslims don't think that they're not Muslims. They're still identified. I self-identify as Muslims, and other Muslims identify them as Muslims. So they're Muslims. Muslims.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
so
is,
what's in Islam is irrelevant. They're Muslims.
Muslims are not represented in the mass media, right? You very rarely are seeing Muslim women doing stuff, Muslim men doing stuff. Very rarely.
I want to clarify for the camera.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's
I'm not
anti-Muslims.
I think most Muslims, 90% of Muslims.
Hold on. Let me just ask you. Let me hear and
very, very good.
Let me hear and clear, right? So Muslim people are not represented very well. I know this because I'm well aware of the media, right? And I'm very aware there's no Muslims. And to be honest, there might be Muslims there, but they would never know. For example, you might be on TV and you might just happen to be a Muslim. We don't know, right? Because a Muslim isn't a race. So I'm saying is because Muslims are not represented, as in we watch a show and a guy comes out, I'm Muslim, hey, yeah, because that's not happening. If every time you see negative stories and they go Muslim man rapes a child, then you're actually doing a disservice to the Muslim community, who many of them are doing very well, and that's what it is. And that's what we say.
I'll tell you something. It's difficult for me to talk about the media because I don't really watch news or stuff.
That's why I talk about it.
I get my experiences from Speaker's Corner. I can tell you from Speaker's Corner, right, that there's plenty of good Muslims in Speaker's Corner, but they're not going to step up, right, and defend somebody who's being attacked by a Muslim. A lot of the time they will not. Sometimes they will, but it's usually somebody else. Somebody else.
You're saying Muslims will not defend who?
Defend somebody who's being attacked by a Muslim. They're less likely to defend it than another person, right? Another person is more likely. So give you the story of, for example, Joseph, right? Okay, so he was attacked by some Muslims.
Joseph is a Muslim, as a Jewish guy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I know you're inaccurate in the story, but go ahead. I know you're not. You're talking about being defended by Muslims, right? So you're saying he wasn't defended by Muslims.
He was defended by a judge.
Okay, so here's the proof. Here's what it is. Not only was I there.
No, you were there. Okay,
not only was I there, and not only did I get the people who were they might have been of Muslim. I don't think they were even Muslims.
They were. Some of them were Muslims.
Some were.
There was one.
Okay.
There was one Christian.
But here's what it is, right? I was there protecting him, and the funny thing is, it was mainly the black people protecting him. But there was one black Muslim guy, I forgot his name. He was so determined to protect him that he barged me out the way.
Is that Hussein? I saw the video.
No, not Hussein. It was another brother. I forgot his name.
I like Hussein. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think that's accurate.
It's not Hussein. Listen. Okay. Every time things kicks off, I know where I'm at in it. If you weren't there, I was there. And I know I was there trying to stop, and I was barged out the way by a Muslim brother trying to defend the Jewish brother, because he felt that I might have tried to harm the Jewish person. You see, so I was there, so I've disproved it. The thing is, there's actually footage which we can actually source in the comments.
There is footage.
I'll put it there because I was there. I was there. So from my experience,
is that in general, there's a lot of problems happening in the park, right? And there's a lot of aggression from the Muslim community. And although most Muslims are fine and good people, right? That's not what comes in shows, right? Because they're not necessarily going to come. You said your experience is they come defend you. Fine, they're trying to defend Joseph. In my experience, I don't see that so much, right? They're quieter. The people that are louder are the ones that are more aggressive.
Here's what
I don't see that the ones
Here's
that
the reality.
are
in this park, a good 90% of the people in this park are Muslim.
Yes.
Right? And you have like a small few who are very vocal and some are very aggressive.
Yes. Yeah. They have a bad day.
No, but that's what we're talking about.
I personally think that the other Muslims are intimidated by this. That's what I think. I don't think they feel that if they fight for a non-Muslim, they'll be, I think they'll be attacked.
Well, that's a different issue. And that might be correct. That might be correct. I don't know.
So
you have to talk to the Muslims about it. You have to go.
I don't know. All I know is what I see.
Well, you should go look. Are you a Muslim? There's Muslims here. You can ask them. Are they willing to talk? Are they willing to correct the Muslim who's inaccurate?
Here's the thing. What I found when I speak to other Muslims that are good people and they won't do any harm. If I bring up the problem with Islam, they're going to bring up the same thing as you.
Well, you can't say the problem with Islam because you're talking about the problem with Muslims, not Islam.
Correct.
Islam is like a
correction,
rules, right?
Muslim.
So
not Islam. Although I do have a problem with Islam, it's a separate issue.
Okay,
so the problem
I'm not Muslim, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, that's a separate issue. But the problem with Muslims, yeah, exactly.
Right.
So that's it.
Well, that's the conversation you should be having then, isn't it? You should have a conversation with them about that.
Yeah, but I'm explaining you why I see it this way.
Right. So we got here because you were talking about freedom of speech.
Well, you're talking about Tom Robinson.
Well, I was, and you answered the question.
Yeah,
and
I was.
Yeah, you assumed I was.
Because yeah, exactly.
And I'm not emotionally connected to that.
You just wanted to keep it calm, understand?
Yeah, but I do not support EDO because their politics do not correlate with anything.
But Tommy Robinson, why do you support Tommy Robinson?
Well, what is it to support about Tommy? What is it to support?
He's fighting for justice.
What justice? What justice?
You want to come join in? No. Okay. Well, if you can come and join if you want.
Yeah, I'll join in. What justice?
Okay. Justice is there's grooming gangs that are you want to get? Come on, get it down, get it down.
There's grooming gangs, yeah.
There's grooming gangs that are targeting Sikh, lower class white girls, and I've heard also some Hindus. And the police are not doing. The police are not doing anything about it. I mean, they're doing. Well, they're doing very little. They didn't do anything for years. Now they did very little, and it's still happening again. And Tommy Robinson's speaking out against it. And basically, I think that he's a righteous person for doing so. And people are trying to say he's a bad guy, he's a racist. He's doing something righteous by protecting
out about the white grooming gangs that go around in Parliament, in society, football, yeah, the football coach, Barry Bennell, the people in children's homes that are mostly white that target children that have been doing it for decades. The priests, yeah, that are white, majority white. Why is he talking about these people?
Okay, so this question. So let me answer you. Let me respond to that. Okay. Number one. Okay. Tommy Robinson is addressing an issue that's happening to people in his family and in his community. That's what he's addressing. Number one.
So the people that. Okay, carry on.
So if somebody comes, if somebody's attacking you, right, and you defend yourself, right, and somebody says, why are you defending yourself? What about all the other people attacked? No, you're being attacked. You have the right to defend yourself. Okay. So he's dealing with things that in his own family, his own community, his own cousin, happened to his own cousin. Okay. That is the kind of thing that he's defending. Number one. Number two. You talk about grooming. Let's mention who you talk about. You talk about people like Jimmy Savile, right?
Yeah. Not just Jimmy Savile, politicians.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's one that's about to come out. That's
church sex rings.
I'm not familiar with them, but I know Jimmy Savile.
You're not
familiar. So I'll address that one.
Okay. Talk about the ones you're familiar with.
Well, I can't talk about. You can if you.
You're familiar with Jimmy Savile, so.
Well, yeah. Well, what I was going to say is in that case he was targeting people in hospitals, right? So
it wasn't just hospitals. It wasn't just hospitals. It wasn't just hospitals. He was targeting people across the board in children's homes. Yeah. Children's homes. Yeah. He was targeting children all across the board because he had access to children.
Exactly.
Yeah?
But many of these things, many of these children, yes. Okay. Many of these children were in institutions. But my point is that in the case of Tommy Robinson, right, what he's dealing with the grooming gangs, he's dealing with the police will not do anything. A father will come, right, and say, look, my child's being.
He used to do anything like Jimmy Savile. So why people got allegations about him numerous times?
But the point is that it's very different.
So that's just one person, by the way. There's a lot of other cases.
Yeah, it's very different. It's very different to fight for your community, people that you know, and fight for somebody you don't know is in a hospital. You can't compare the two things.
If I'm talking, stop. If I'm
wait,
I'm sorry.
The victims from Jimmy Savile are also English.
If
I'm fighting against racism.
No, in his local community in Luton, people that are from his family.
My friend.
So what about the football?
One of them is anonymous. You don't understand what I'm saying.
Yeah,
one of them is some anonymous something that you hear in the newspaper, and one is people that you know in your community. Okay. It's very different.
My friend.
Okay, that's the explanation.
My friend. If let's just say there's a racist and somebody does a racial attack against my family, I don't start fighting against that just racism that happened in my family and not racism across the board. I don't say I'm only protecting it because it happened to my family. If you're fighting against something, you fight against it across the board. You don't just say because it happened to my family, this is the reason why I'm doing it. It doesn't work like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't pick and choose when you want to decide to defend something. A paedophile's a paedophile regardless of what colour, race, nationality you are.
You can't, look, here's the thing. You can't, every single time somebody deals with a problem, they don't have to deal with every single other problem in the world, okay? They have a problem that's coming to them, and they're trying to deal with it.
Don't try and act like it only happens in this one community.
You're being ridiculous. Let me tell you something, right? If somebody were to complain about Jimmy Savile, right, and somebody would say, oh, why are you only complaining about Jimmy Savile? Why are you complaining about something else? I'll say the guy's an idiot, right? Stop talking about worrying about complaining to somebody else. Deal with that problem. Why are you so scared about dealing with that problem? That's a problem.
Your issue
I think the fact that you're trying, I think you're defending it by. You are because by saying, oh, what about that? What about that? It's a form of defense.
If you talk about something, you talk about across the board.
No, because you're
pick and choose what event you want to talk about.
Because you're stopping somebody from deal with the issue by saying, what about that issue? What about that issue? It's a different issue.
Because we're gonna.
Go on.
What is not happening that you would like to happen?
What is not happening? Well, what I'd like to. Well, the police should deal with those situations.
Well, why are you complaining about the police then? Why is he complaining about? Why are you complaining? He's saying the police that are not dealing with it.
Because Well, the thing is that the police themselves, right, when he speaks to the police privately, right, they seem to be okay with it. It seems to be something that's going on. Something's been affected by...
Mad conspiracy that the police are in on it or something.
Well, I don't know the reason why, but it's only happened to only with Muslims.
That's not talk ridiculous.
It's not
talk ridiculous. You're talking about Jimmy Savile's an individual person, yeah?
Yeah.
The people that groomed, what's his name, Tony Robinson's family, that's an individual person, so let him deal with that individual person and not Muslim.
They're grooming gangs, they're not individual people, they're gangs.
Okay, well let him deal with that gang then. Don't come out and say Muslims, come out and say that gang. You don't need to say Muslim, you should say that gang of people, they just so happen to be Muslim. You see what I'm saying to you?
But the thing is,
does that make sense?
Well,
you must understand
here's the thing.
point,
well, I'll tell you why not. That's what I explained to you before.
Please expound.
Okay.
Why not?
Usually, right, first of all, let me ask you a question. Do you think, right, that the police will not deal with any rape in England? Do you think that? You don't think that, right?
Do I think that they won't deal with it?
You think that generally they deal with rape, right? Is that... Of
course.
Right, okay.
That's their job.
So, exactly. We'd like to think so. We could be wrong, but most of us would like to think so.
Yeah.
So in general,
I love them,
right, but in some cases they don't, right?
Yeah.
So now, in the case of these grooming gangs, right? The police, they would go to the police and say, look, what's going on? And the police would say, no, we can't do anything because we might consider racist, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So now you have an issue. Originally, you're right. You shouldn't go and say, look, there's grooming gangs, it's Muslim. Who cares? It's a problem. Go to the police, solve the problem. You're right. However, what happened is that the police said because they are certain ethnicity and because they have this thing, you cannot. It's racism.
Could the police be lying about that?
I have no idea.
Okay. So when
of course they could, but now it becomes a Muslim problem. So because they are Muslims, they're not going to deal with it.
No,
right?
Yeah, but okay.
Problem,
so
that's a police problem. When Jimmy Savile was doing it to the girls, they was covering it up as well.
Okay.
When the people in Parliament, police were not dealing with it as well.
Okay.
So it's not a Muslim thing.
He just said it's a Muslim problem, but they don't do it, right? What should Muslims do against gangs?
At least they should speak up about it. Stop keep talking about Jimmy Savile, talking about this, talking about that. It's a problem. Don't keep saying, oh, what about this? What about that?
Can you?
They're not even. They keep deflecting.
I know, but can you find one Muslim person who agrees with women being raped?
No. Not in why would they? I don't think they agree with it, and if they did, I don't think they would say so.
Have you ever asked
but that's not the point.
Maybe it's not a Muslim thing. Maybe it's something else. Why is it a Muslim thing? I don't understand. Where are the people from? Where are the people from?
They're from Pakistan.
So how do you know it's not a Pakistan thing?
Because they're it's also apparently Somalians are also doing it, and they're Muslims.
Okay, so the white people do it. The white people do it
as gangs.
As gangs.
I've never heard about it.
I have. Because recently there was a gang of 3 white boys that was doing it.
Yeah, and how long were they doing it? Were they doing it for years?
I don't know how
when they were caught.
Why are you playing down what they done?
No, because you're missing the main point. The main point is not that they did it. The main point is that the police did nothing about it for years because of who they were.
You can't say why the police didn't do nothing about it. You don't know that, man.
Well, that's a logical conclusion.
The police have come out and said the reason why we didn't deal with it.
They said so. They said it's because they're raped. They said so.
Where did they say that?
They look it up. Google it.
That's very important. When we talk about this, the most important point is women are being raped, young underage women,
because they don't.
And that's the emphasis. So everyone supports stopping that. Yeah.
Right.
So we're all unified on that. Right. I think what they're saying is the word using, they're using that as a political angle when it takes away from the real core that young women are being abused and we have to stop it.
Okay, but the point is since they're being treated special, right? You have to identify these people being treated special. So they are specifically.
So they're not arrested. They haven't been arrested.
Well, it took ages for a few of them to be arrested, but it's still happening. And
well, I don't know the ins and outs, but all we can do is a what if. If men are committing rape and they're not being arrested by police, that's wrong. Do you know why that's extra wrong? Because I know in the black community, many of us are arrested for not doing anything. So,
but you can't keep connecting it to. I don't connect it to the Jewish community.
Let me explain why.
You have to look at each thing specifically the way it is.
Why, right? What I'm saying is, with black people, it seems very easy for us to just get beat up for no reason, right? Yeah.
Well, that's wrong. Look, if somebody would beat up a Muslim because a Muslim, I'd say that's a terrible thing.
Hold on.
And that's perspective.
Let me speak. Let me offer my perspective. I find it hard to believe that the police won't arrest people because they're Muslim when not all of them, some of them are very happy to abuse their powers on black people. Does that make sense? I can't simply go, you know what, I can abuse black people, but the Muslims, I'm not going to.
Are they holding back?
Can't do it.
Are the police holding?
Okay,
some of those Muslims were black.
Which Muslims?
Well, some of the ones were black skinned, were they not?
Oh yeah, you mean the groom gangs? I never heard, but I agree. But if that's what happened.
There you go. So what I'm saying, if I've seen myself, the force that some police have put on black people, even though no crime was being committed, I don't believe that if they were aware that European girls of a young age were being raped, they go, you know what, boy, that's that, innit?
So you don't believe it?
Although it could happen.
It's fine. You don't believe it. Don't believe it.
If it has, as a community,
then you need to research.
As a community, we need to stop it. As a community, we need to stop it. And the emphasis should be helping the young girls who've been abused and not putting the word Muslim in front of the rapists.
Okay, so how would you suggest to do that? How would you stop it?
Well, the thing is, I don't get paid to be a police, right? But I do pay taxes, and my taxes is to get the police to do that.
The police are not doing it. That's the whole point. That's why he's out there doing it, right? And then when he goes and does that, he does something about it.
What is he doing?
He's trying to sound the alarm that these grooming gangs are Muslim Pakistani grooming gangs, right? That are
majority of paedophiles in London are white people. It is fact. Statistically, you look at it. That's fact.
In England,
I never seen this.
but you keep saying
That's fact though.
So,
we talk about that when we keep
what is what true?
most of the white.
That's what he said. I've never.
Bro, I'm telling you for a fact.
I've just told you I don't know. That's the answer.
Majority
I
of
reckon
paedophiles registered are
you
white
have to
people.
know how many white people live in England.
Listen, you know they are.
People are white.
You know they are. Before he kept saying that he was deflecting, yeah. He kept saying, why are you talking about someone you killed?
I'm not gonna
deflecting away from.
You asked me to be honest, but when I'm honest, right, you don't want to hear it. The honest truth is that I don't know. Okay, so no, let's get back to what I said. Okay, yeah, one at a time. I forgot what I was saying. Do you remember?
Well, here's my here and query, right? Here's my emphasis, right?
Yeah.
That if the paedophiles are atheists, you don't need to say the atheists.
Let me get one.
The paedophiles,
Hey, Jez, let me get one.
You don't need to say paedophile Christian.
if there was
if the pedophiles are Muslim, you don't need to say Muslim pedophile.
Here was my
Because there's nothing in these
okay, we've been around this.
says be
We've been around. So here's the thing. You can throw me off. I don't know if that's your intention. But here's the point. I would agree with you. Like I said this a few times, I'm gonna say it again, right? Originally, there's no point in saying anything about like who these people are. You don't have to say they got black hair, green eyes. None of these things matter. You just need to identify who the individuals that are doing it. So it's a gang of people that are doing it. You go to the police with their pictures and you say these people are doing it, this is the address, etc. Right? However, right, if in your analogy, if there were atheist grooming gangs, right, and the police were not doing anything about it, right, and you year after year after year, and parents, fathers were going to the police and doing something, and they would go to the house and the police would arrest that person. That's one story. Now, at that case, right, specifically atheists, I would say that there's a problem in the atheist community. Wait. There's a problem with There's a problem that atheists are not being locked up for their rape, what they're raping.
Alright, that is what it is, and we all agree. So I think we all agree.
So in that case, they should
anyone
say.
is not being arrested for rape, then as a community we need to stop it. I mean, we're not going to argue.
Well, there you go.
Talk to the police and tell them to fix it.
And we need to go police.
But it's happening now.
Why are you not arresting rapists? Because you're not making our streets safe by doing this.
Exactly. So what can we do about it?
Well, we have to find out if it's true. And that,
you have to find out.
So you have to then bring the evidence. Go, here's the evidence I've put forward. Police are ignoring rapists because they're scared to arrest Muslims. And I said, if they're not scared to abuse black people, then I don't see why they're scared to arrest
Okay, you don't see why, but if there's evidence for it, then you'd have to agree that it's true, right?
Yeah, you can bring forward.
So there's plenty of things that we don't understand on this planet.
Well, yeah, next week he's going to come. We're going to go, you know what?
Next week is Passover, I can't come. Okay, and the week after is also Passover, it'll have to be the week after. Okay.
But then there'll be a new story, bro.
So I can send it to you, I can email it to you. You can Google it yourself anyway, it's not too hard.
Okay.
But anyway, great, I'll have a drink, thanks.
Oh boy, causing havoc this one. Causing havoc.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I want to ask, yeah. So ain't there Ethiopian black females right now in Israel being raped and stuff?
Never heard about that. Okay. I don't think that's true. I think you made that up.
Are you selecting? Sorry, are you selecting what you?
I've never heard such a thing.
I have, because then again, you're not black, so.
Are you picking what you hear about?
If you send it to me, if it's true, it's true. I'll be against it. That's the thing. If that was true, I would go. I'd be against it.
It is true.
I've never researched. I can't agree with you on something I haven't researched.
In Israel,
if that were true, right, I wouldn't say, oh, what about all the other things? I would just say, yeah, that's one thing. End the story. I wouldn't start trying to come up with other things. Why are you bringing that up?
Are they kicking black people out of Israel?
Right now.
Are they kicking black people out of Israel?
I think they are. I think they are. Yeah, I think they are.
You condemn Jewish people for doing that, for kicking black people out of Israel, out of Africa, essentially.
They're not actually kicking them out. I'll tell you what they're doing. I read a bit about this. what they're doing is basically they've got as a I don't know where they're from. There's some country that comes from. What?
Eritrea?
Eritrea.
Sorry.
Eritrea.
Sorry.
Maybe I can't remember which country.
Sudan and Eritrea. Yeah, Ethiopia as well.
That's
for Flash Jews.
No, not Flash Jews. Flash Jews are accepted. They're part of the.
Are they kicking Africans out of Israel?
African Jewish
this is what I heard. This is what I need to look into.
Are they doing well? Are they prevalent? Are they doing well in
African community?
The Jewish people from the African continent.
I have no idea. You asked me this like last.
Are they kicking Africans out of Israel?
I
told you before. He says he research and he did.
No, hold it a second. Wait, let me clarify for the camera. Okay, what we had a discussion about black issues, and then you started saying it's not just about black, it's also darker people. So we started talking about Sephardim and Ashkenazim, and you said are Sephardim treated worse than Ashkenazim, and I said I'll research it, and I did research it, and what I found is that there's actually a video. I just happened to be watching it, and there's a video about it, and it's basically they're asking Ashkenazim and Sephardim, like, you feel the difference, and they said in our parents' days there was a bit of difference, and now it's basically there's no difference. So that's your answer.
Okay, so what I'll do is if this video goes up, I'll post links where the darker skinned Jews are being mistreated in Israel.
Wait. Are you talking about which darker skinned Jews? So
I'm talking about
Sephardim specifically.
African.
Okay. Well, there you go. So
Original Jew.
Wait a second. You know what? Let's have another discussion about this because it's a separate discussion. Okay.
Right. They throw it out there.
They threw it out there. So we'll have another discussion about that. But I just want to finish up about the Tommy Robinson business, the Tommy Robinson case.
So I'll conclude. If anyone's being raped, we need to come together and stop it. That's it.
Okay. So there you go. So that's it. That's it. End of story. I don't think we can add anything to that.
We have to wait.
Okay, thank you very much. Cheers. You wanted to talk about the thing?
Finish.
Come take over everything from your melanin. Come, man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to
African Israeli Jews are more mistreated than any other.
Okay, I specifically looked up Ashkenaz Sephardim because that's where the conversation went to. So that's what I looked up.
Okay, so I represent black people, right?
Right.
So the conversation is always how are black people treated in Israel, just like how they treat in England, that's how they treat in Australia, wherever it might be. And I'm saying that the European Jews are treated much more better collectively than the African Jews. From what I've seen.
Well, there's not only European and African Jews.